Star Trek franchise has had quite a few video games over the years, but did you know that there were also quite a few video games that were never released? Some of these were even being developed by well-known directors, such as the creators of BioShock and Thief. I am CaptRobau, and in this episode of Undeveloped, I will be exploring 7 cancelled Star Trek games that you might not have heard of before. Number 1. The final frontier for the NES was going to be an adaptation of the 5th Star Trek film. In 2006, a prototype of the game was leaked online. Star Trek V is a 2D side-scrolling shooter with limited platforming, which only loosely follows the plot of the movie. In the game, you shoot baddies in the desert of Nimbus 3, platform your way through the bowels of the Enterprise, navigate the ship through an asteroid field, battle a Klingon cruiser, and beat the final boss, the god alien from the movie. The end screen really misses the mark, naming Cyborg as a classmate of Spock and misspelling Vulcan as Falcon. Star Trek V The Final Frontier was a bad movie and an equally terrible game. I'm not surprised they cancelled it. Number 2. Star Trek First Contact is considered one of the best Star Trek movies, so it's no surprise someone wanted to make a game about it. That company was Microprose, who had already done the Generations tie-in game. As the name implies, the game takes place in the aftermath of First Contact. While the Borg Queen had seemingly been destroyed in the movie, she was able to download her consciousness into the Enterprise's computer, and at the start of the game, the Borg have begun taking over the Enterprise again. The player can take on the role of each of the 7 main cast members. Using their skills and strengths, the player must avoid assimilation, make decisions about research and control the ship's systems to battle the Borg. The game would have taken as much as 5 hours to complete, but the randomly generated game would make each playthrough unique. Aside from this single-player campaign, the game would have also supported network multiplayer for up to 7 players, meaning that all characters could be played by real people at the same time and they would have to work together to take back the ship. Sadly, the game was cancelled because of financial difficulties on the part of developer Microprose. Number 3. In the mid-90s, Spectrum Holobyte started development on a TNG point-and-click adventure game for the 3DO console. A World for All Seasons, as it was called, was promoted heavily in the March 1994 issue of Electronic Gaming Monthly. Judging by the magazine, the game would feature pre-rendered 3D environments and was a choose-your-own-adventure style of game, featuring the USS Enterprise D and its crew. It also seemed to feature real-time space combat. A number of the 3D rendered scenes were quite similar to cutscenes ultimately used in Star Trek The Next Generation of Final Unity, released the following year by the same company, so it could be that this cancelled project morphed into a Final Unity. Number 4. These 9 also got some love with The Hunt, an MS-DOS/Macintosh game by Simon and Schuster. Not much is known about it, but the summary for the game was as follows. Somewhere on Space Station Deep Space Nine is a thief with a stolen treasure of mysterious power. The Kardashians want to retrieve it, the Ferengis want to steal it. As a Federation officer, a Klingon, a Ferengi or a Bajoran, you use your wits and personality to interact with Star Trek Deep Space Nine characters, all realistically animated in stereo sound. Your actions will make the difference between success and failure. Douglas Herring, an art director at Microsoft Game Studios for nearly a decade, worked on the project with his responsibilities including total art design, animation and background keyframes and layout for this adventure game based on the TV series. Art was 95% done and I had already moved on when Paramount Interactive put the project on hold. Number 5. Retribution was intended to be the first video game based on Star Trek Voyager. It was publisher Viacom New Media's second release after Deep Space Nine Harbinger. The point-and-click adventure game would be developed by Looking Glass, the studio that would become known for series such as System Shock and Thief. Retribution would see you give instructions to Voyager's crew, who would then try to carry out your commands. Alan Dickens, one of the producers of the game, said about this, "We want to make it a lot like you're watching the TV and yelling at the characters. We're giving them, as a team, guidance and direction on where they should go and how they should address the various problems that come before them." The game also involved ground and space combat, solving puzzles and managing inventory. The story of Retribution would have revolved around rescuing an away team from Voyager who had been abducted by the Kazon. Along the way, the player would also run into 2 new alien life forms, the Nantucket and the Gudge. When publisher Viacom decided to exit the video game industry in 1997, the game was cancelled by Looking Glass. Frustration about this sudden cancellation led game director Ken Levine and others to go off and found their own studio called Irrational Games. This studio would end up creating the critically acclaimed BioShock series, making this cancelled Star Trek game a pretty influential cancelled game. Number 6. Borg Simulator was going to be a strategy game, where you played as, you guessed it, the Borg. Developed by Cyberlore Studios and announced in early 2001, the game was to be a world-building simulator, where players built empires through a simulation. Its single-player campaign mode would have featured 12 levels, with the goal being to acquire enough territory and technology to develop a stable omega molecule. This powerful particle and its destructive capabilities have been the focus of the Voyager episode, The Omega Directive. The developers were aiming for a winter 2001 release date, but the game was cancelled when the publisher Activision realized, belatedly, that this game, where you play as the villain and forcefully assimilate entire races, did not match well with the positive spirit of the Star Trek universe. I have one more game I want to show you, but first, if you enjoyed this video so far, why not give it a like? That would tell the YouTube algorithm to show this video to more people, and that really helps out my channel. Thank you. Number 7. Last but not least is probably the most famous cancelled Star Trek video game, Secret of Vulcan Fury. This point-and-click adventure was a sequel to the classic game's 25th anniversary and Judgment rights. This time around, the pixel art would be replaced by state-of-the-art 3D graphics, including motion-captured animations. In development at the tail end of the 20th century, Vulcan Fury was written by legendary Trek writer D.C. Fontana and would have featured the original cast voicing their iconic characters. The game's story would have focused on the origins of the split between Vulcans and Romulans, thousands of years before the start of the TV show. In the current day, Romulans are trying to establish peace with Vulcan, and the USS Enterprise is there to provide security. However, the peace conference is a ruse by the Romulans to try and find a powerful space station called Fury, and use it to destroy the Vulcan people. Like the previous two games in the series, Vulcan Fury would have been split up into 6 chapters, acting like episodes in the show. Each chapter would focus on a different character and would tell the overarching story about the Romulans and Fury Station. The varied chapters would have seen McCoy investigating the death of a Romulan ambassador, Scotty dealing with a sabotage event on the Enterprise, and finally an all-out Romulan attack on Vulcan. In the end, the game was too complex for its own good. The first 3D renders produced as a proof of concept looked good, but to produce the hours and hours of pre-rendered cutscenes needed for the game would have taken dozens of expensive computers. Due to the ballooning budget, publisher Interplay pulled the plug on the project. In the end, only 5% of the game was considered finished. The script, however, had been completed, as had been the voice lines from the cast. This would be the last time DeForest Kelley reprised his role as Dr. McCoy before passing away in June 1999. Sadly, most of these recordings were lost due to backup failures. I am CaptRobau, and these were 7 cancelled Star Trek games. Would you have wanted any of these games to have been released, or is it better that they were cancelled? Let me know in the comments down below. If you want to explore more undeveloped concepts like these, click on one of the videos on screen.